Understanding the Mysterious East, interpreting the timeless classics. Welcome to Mysterious East. Today, let us uncover the hidden truth behind Jin Ping Mei. Chapter 5. The End of the Dream Friends. Last time we said goodbye to Xi Menqing. He died inside the giant web of desire he had spent his entire life weaving. But if you thought Xi Menqing's death was already cold and absurd, then what comes next is even colder. Because what truly chills the heart is not the death of one man. It is the hearts of those who remain alive. When the great tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Before Xi Menqing's body was even cold, the enormous interest network known as the Ximen household began collapsing almost instantly. After Xi Menqing's death, the mansion became a perfect stage for watching every kind of human escape. The first group were the betrayers. When Xi Menqing was alive, those so-called sworn brothers constantly surrounded him. Men like Ying Bojue and Xieshida spent every day flattering him, calling him Big Brother with endless affection. But the moment Xi Menqing died, these men did not even come to burn incense at his funeral. Not only did Ying Bojue fail to mourn him, he immediately turned around and attached himself to Xi Menqing's old enemy. He sold away Xi Menqing's business secrets, his money-making methods, and even helped outsiders plot against Xi Menqing's widow. This is the true face of drinking buddies and fair-weather friends. When the chain of benefit breaks, friendship instantly becomes worthless. The second group were the thieves. The servants and wet nurses inside the household saw that the master was dead, and Wu Yuanyang was busy arranging the funeral, so they began stealing madly. Today, a vase disappeared. Tomorrow, a piece of clothing was gone. Even Chen Jingji, Xi Menqing's own son-in-law, took advantage of the chaos to secretly carry on an affair with Pan Jinlian while transferring family property. The entire Yimen household became like an unattended supermarket. Everyone wanted to grab whatever they could before the doors finally closed. The third group were the clear-headed survivors. At this moment, some of the women who had seemed quiet and unremarkable revealed remarkable wisdom. Meng Yulu, for example, saw clearly that this household had no future. So she decisively remarried. She took her private savings and married an honest official, achieving a stable landing before the ship completely sank. And this teaches us something very practical. Before a ship goes down, a clear mind and independent economic ability are the only real lifeboats. But what about our main female character, Pan Jinlian? Could she escape? No, she could not, because she carried the blood debt of Wu Delang's death. And more importantly, she had lived too recklessly. She had no savings, no protection, no retreat. And so, the novel arrives at its most shocking final judgment. Wu Song returns. In Water Margin, Wu Song killing his sister-in-law is often portrayed as heroic justice. But in Jin Ping Mei, this scene is filled with a much heavier sense of fate. After Xi Menqing died, Pan Jinlian was driven out of the household by Wu Yuanyang. Even though she was already pregnant at the time, carrying Chen Jingji's child, the child of a forbidden and scandalous affair, Wu Yuanyang showed her no mercy. She gave Pan Jinlian only a few ragged clothes and arranged for Wang Po to take her away and sell her. Pay attention to that word again, sell. Pan Jinlian's life began with being sold, and now it ends with being sold again. At this moment, Wu Song returned. Pan Jinlian did not know he had come to kill her. Wang Po deceived her and told her that Wu Song had come to marry her instead. And here, Pan Jinlian reveals a heartbreaking kind of innocence. She actually believed it. The book describes how, when she heard that Wu Song wanted to marry her, she became happy and carefully dressed herself. In her mind, Wu Song was still her brother-in-law, a man connected to her by family, and he was also a heroic tiger slayer, a powerful man, no worse than Jin Ping. Look carefully. Even at the very end of her life, Pan Jinlian was still thinking about finding a strong man to depend on. She had never learned how to rely on herself. When she entered Wu Song's room full of hope, what awaited her was not a wedding bed. It was a blade. Wu Song's killing of Pan Jinlian is extremely bloody, almost like slaughter, but beneath that brutality lies a cruel circle of cause and effect. Years earlier, she poisoned Wu Dalang to death. Now Wu Song cuts open her chest in revenge. Pan Jinlian dies. She dies inside the very illusion she spent her life chasing. Desire, dependence, the dream of being rescued by a powerful man. She was like a flower blooming too brightly and too dangerously. In the end, she was ripped out by the roots and thrown back into the mud. Jin Ping is dead. Pan Jinlian is dead. Li Pinger died long before them. The three central figures are all gone. So is the story over? No. The author, Lanling Xiaoxiao Sheng, still feels that this is not enough. He arranges for one more person to guide us through the emptiness left behind after everything collapses. That person is Pang Chunmei. She was once only a little servant girl. Later, she rose and became a noble woman. Among all the characters, her personality most closely resembles Pan Jinlian's. Chunmei becomes one of the central figures in the later part of Jin Ping Mei. Her fate appears unusually fortunate. After being sold into the household of a military commander, she gives birth to a son, gains status, and becomes a noble lady with official recognition. At this stage, it almost seems as if she has fulfilled the dream Pan Jinlian could never achieve, to fly from the lowest branch and become a phoenix. Later, Chunmei returns to the ruins of the old Ximen household. She looks at the broken walls and the desolate courtyard, overwhelmed with emotion. But Chunmei cannot escape the same curse, the curse of excess. Here, the word lust does not refer only to sexuality. It means lack of restraint, the inability to stop. After Chunmei gains power, she becomes even more arrogant and indulgent than Pan Jinlian once was. And in the end, she too dies from indulgence. She dies in the arms of her lover. This is almost a terrifying cycle. One generation dies. Another generation climbs upward. They repeat the same greed, the same battles, the same hunger, and eventually they walk toward the same destruction. At the end of the novel, the Jin armies invade the south. The central plains fall into chaos. The only remaining bloodline of Jin Ping, his son Xiaoge, born to Wu Yuanyang, is eventually taken away by an old monk named Master Pujing. The old monk points toward the vast sea of humanity and speaks a final truth. In essence, he says, this rolling world of dust and desire is nothing more than a great dream. Xiaoge becomes a monk. His Buddhist name means nothingness. And with that, the Ximen family line disappears completely. No descendants remain. No incense burns. No legacy survives. At the beginning of the novel, everything is hot. Steaming buns, bustling business, burning bodies, boiling desire. But at the end, everything is cold. Cold wind, cold rain, cold human hearts, and a vast white emptiness stretching across the world. This is Jin Ping Mei. Jin is gold, the money and wealth that Pan Jinlian longed for. Ping is the bottle, the vessel of wine and desire that eventually shatters. Mei is the plum blossom, the proud beauty of Chunmei, blooming and falling in the cold. After reading Jin Ping Mei, what is the strongest feeling it leaves behind? Is it pessimism? Does it tell us that life is meaningless? I do not think so. Lu Xun said that this novel fully captured the ways of human society. But I would say something more. It is a book of awakening. The author writes human nature so darkly and ends the story with such emptiness not to make us despair. He does it to teach us restraint. In modern society, every one of us still lives inside Qinghe County. Algorithms encourage us to consume. Like Ximen Qing, we are taught to always want more. Workplaces encourage wolf-like competition. Like Pan Jinlian, we become anxious, defensive, and afraid of being left behind. We believe that material possessions will give us safety. But across 400 years, Jin Ping Mei quietly reminds us, desire itself is not evil. Being swallowed by desire is. We eat in order to live. But living is not meant only for eating. True happiness may not depend on how much we possess, like Ximen Qing. It may depend on whether we can become clear enough to stop before desire consumes us. The greatest tragedy in life is not failing to obtain what we want. It is losing ourselves during the chase. And then, at the finish line, discovering that there is nothing there. Prosperity is only the background. Inner peace is the true destination. Thank you for walking with me through this extraordinary book. May you remain clear-minded and warm-hearted as you move through the dust and noise of the human world. I will see you in the next book.